That was a big, just like, you know, yeah. But it meant something to my kids to get it because I have they really do. They feel like it's that was every day. Yeah, seriously, I have. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I use
So how can our self-trust hinder our students' self-trust? Or can it? I heard some great conversations.
Something that I do is this year I came in and I just put the sign-in sheet out and I told them, I said, if it's not the last 15, the first 15 minutes, the pass is there. One person out. I said, you don't have to ask me to go to the bathroom or wherever, just go. Just come up, sign out, and go. You know, for a while they would keep asking, I'm like, don't ask me, just go. You know, just keep up with it. I'm like, you can go 3 times per 9 weeks. And that, you know, it works really well. Like, you don't have that constant, hey, can I go to the bathroom, no, wait till I'm done with this. I just, you know, I trust them to do it, and they're really keeping up with their maturity. I mean, rarely have anybody try to abuse it, and that really surprised me, it's worked really well.
Kind of like the video of you make your own change. Someone else? Self-trust.
It comes back to the mistake. How you handle it if you make a mistake, and we all make mistakes, and we make them in front of them, we make them with them. You give the wrong paper out, or you give it, you know, or something. And it's how you, within yourself, respond when that happens, or when someone says. And if you show them that, that it's okay, then again, it comes back to then they're okay. A big part, I think, of the school is where kids won't speak out loud. They don't want to stand in front of class, and they don't want to talk out loud. But like in my class from day one, and a lot of this is through DECA because it's built to say, to perform in front of people. They say start them when they come in with being in short groups and just talking to each other first. And then they stand up and talk in front of people, and it's a movement just the same way. And I think in that, you build that self-trust.
Someone else? So, thinking about the relational trust, building upon self-trust, how can we be successful with relational trust? And you know, you see it so many different ways in life. A lot of people with a lot of insecurities try to latch on to a relationship to make everything better. And how often does that go wrong? Because it starts back with that self-trust and believing in yourself before you even step into those relationship roles. So, how is relational trust viewed here? Maybe co-worker to co-worker, students to students, teachers to principals to classified staff. How is relational trust, what does that look like, Knox Central High School? Ready? Go.
I think about that. I mean, real estate, we have teachers and I just come there and say, well, there was a time that I wouldn't even know. You know, I think it's a good question.
And I'm not saying that.
Or if, say, some type of listening about something or so however you then it would find
Trust you to do this.
they appreciate that.
because it we're going to sit there talking It shows students examples of relational trust. Actually, then last year, in the first business, we talked about with Christina about working in other concepts, like, places like where schools were, and actually, we were talking about the like, if they were at like a Bible board, like, you could count for something in English and like stuff like that, but I know we like mentioned that, but I mean, I don't know. But it still was kind of hard because there's so many different teachers for, English, and it wouldn't be like one to one. So, I don't know. It was just, that was the idea, but.
I did, but I was just.
Something we don't really tell.
Yeah. What's the minute, please, yes.
My signature is worth something. It's always not your signature is worth.
So how important is relationships? Very important. We all feel relationships are very important. Co-worker to co-worker, or teacher to student, all directions, absolutely, absolutely. The healthier those are, the stronger we all are. So, some of the things I heard, I'm trying to frame it the best way possible, but oftentimes in building relationships, we feel like we have one of two choices. We have the choice of just love them, and that's what sometimes the leader in me stuff and all the I-Lead stuff gets coined. The phrase is lovey-covey, because Stephen Covey's work's all about helping, and training and supporting a kid or an adult, anyone, learning these habits. Or the flip side of that, of course, is the tough love that comes along. So, in this relational world of taking care of our kids, what is more relevant? Is it more relevant to say, oh, that's all they've got, so let's look over them at that time, or that's the best they can do, so they handed something in, so I'm satisfied, or to stay after them in persistence till you get the quality of work, the expectation that you desire. And how do you balance those two in a relation building way? How do you balance the expectation with the love? How do you do that? Now, just popcorn for a minute or two. What's some ways you've seen that work successfully? How do you bridge that gap?
Is that what you're gonna do for us? That's the best I got, so I'm good. No, because you want your staff to do the best they can do. So, no, you're not gonna accept that from us. So why, we can't accept, we can't accept mediocre, because there can be adults in the real world. And I'm gonna be where we're at in a few years, so we can't be, I taught middle school too, and it's different, maybe you can accept a little more mediocre there, but not here. Because whether they go to college or whether they go to a job, or there's no taking it over there.
I think it always depends on the kid and it depends on the situation. If I have a kid, some of them it has to be baby steps, right? Like some of them it's, okay, well, I'm going to keep so-and-so from sleeping today. Make sure they stay awake every day. And that's step one. And then that builds a little bit of trust in there, that I care about you, that you need to stay awake, And then from there, it's like, okay, well, you're doing your work today, okay? You've done half of it. Now, next time, let's make sure we get it all done. So that it's that constant build. I can't just come in the first time and say, okay, because we have to teach them too that it's okay to make mistakes, that it's okay to have a bad day, that it's okay, if those things are happening. And where that comes in is the relationships with our kids.
But you're still always pushing for more.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you start somewhere and you try to push for more. And, it's like I tell them too, that goes all into the relationship that you have with the child. That if I know that if I know that the best I'm ever going to get out of that kid is that much, if they have worked themselves to death, then okay. It's not mediocre. It might be mediocre if I'm comparing them to, an honor student, but that may be the best that they can do. And that's the way I treat my kids at home. If Harrison isn't capable of getting an A, then okay. If a B, if you tried your hardest, you put everything out there. That's all I want you to do. And so some of our kids, they get so grade-oriented, which is something that we were talking about. Parents get so grade-oriented that there is a fine balance there. And it comes from the relationship that you have with that student. And it comes from understanding where they're coming from. And so, I don't gripe if they don't have paper. I don't gripe if they don't have pencil. And sometimes I've had kids who are like, Mr. Osper, I worked all night last night. I have a girl who works at KFC and she works till like 11:30. And I said, okay, and so I'm going to let you put your head down today because I can tell you're really tired. I was like, but now you're still responsible for this. So that was me saying, I understand what's going on with you, and I'm not going to just be so strict with you, but at the same time, we got to come up with a better plan. You might want to talk to your boss about, and teaching them those types of things. And that's hard to do, but that comes from the relationship you have with those students. Because we have that. I have bad days. We all have bad days in here. We're not perfect in our work. And we have to teach them that that's what it means to be in the real world. That it's okay to make a mistake, but you always got to keep trying to just do a little better every time.
Someone else? Okay, let's shift gears here and we'll wrap up with this. You should have a half sheet of paper
I've written all over mine.
on your table. Do you want need new ones?
Well, I got one side. You just need one side.
Glad you all are note takers. I want you to leave it, so if you've got notes on there, you better get another one.
No, I just did it. We just wrote down the copy. Sorry, I'll get another one.
Move. All right, we're going to transition just a minute to organizational trust. And we're going to pose a couple of questions here. And then we'll have a little time to talk. But mainly this is you and your opinion. I would like these just wadded up there. I could care less whose it is, or if everybody wants to put them all on one table. I'm not a decoder. I'm not going to look at your signature and try to figure out who said what. I ain't got that much time. You'll be lucky if I even read them. But I would like, in case I do want to read them, I want to have them there. So as we think about organizations, and we think specifically about our organization called Knox Central High School, first question, and no dissertations, please. It's open-ended, or it can be, but we'll have more than one question. Question number one, does my organization have integrity?
You want us to answer them as we go, or are you gonna give them to us all at once?
No, answer that.
Okay.
You write the question?
I didn't know
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't write the question. I'm like,
Y'all are achievers. And we'll give you about a minute to answer. So like I said, no dissertations. You don't have to write the question, man. Only the other ones. Anybody need more time? We're down to about 19 seconds. Says no dissertation. Just a snapshot. All right. Question 2. All right. Do we know what we stand for as an organization? You'd think as a school that would be so easy. About 20 seconds.
I
Do our structures and systems reflect a basic paradigm of respect and trust? Just get harder.
Will you read that again?
Do our structures and systems reflect a basic paradigm of respect and trust? About 20 seconds. Okay. Do we have a culture of honesty? Okay. One more or two more. Do we genuinely want everyone to win? Do we genuinely want everyone to win? Last question. Does my organization get results? Does my organization get results? As you finish up here, I'll just go ahead and tell you, I appreciate y'all reading this. I appreciate y'all participating in the Google Classroom and having the study here. Let me encourage you to come back to this stuff. These are things that we learn a little bit, and it chips away at our old self. Then our old self kind of comes back at times. and we have to come back and revisit it. It's kind of like a diet or exercise or working out. You know, we do really well and get into a real good routine, and we think this is going to be the way we are forever. And then 5 years later, we've gained all that weight back, or we quit working out, or whatever. It's that same way with the 7 habits and the leader in me. It's the same way with this speed of trust. We hear it, it's so common sense, but yet we often forget it. So I would encourage you to dust it off, because the root of relationships, I truly believe, is built on trust. And when we lose that, we have a hard time. It's not impossible, like the book tells us. It's not impossible to regain it, but we have a hard time rebuilding what's lost. So if we want to improve our relationships with our students, with our co-workers, with our spouses, with our children, we have to realize the importance of trust. Okay? Any burning comments anyone wants to make? All right, just leave those papers wherever you want to.
Fold them all up and leave them on this little table. Show me how we folded them. We fold them across and over into like a little square, and then put it right there. That way they won't, it's like across, like that, and like that, and like that.
Kids say.
Look at a hamburger, hot dog.
I know, I love that.
Some of our kids eat yeah, they don't know wrong with you. My sophomore should know me about hot dog. Yeah. There you go.
I could have smoked it.